I think that Wyoming, America's least populated state, can be served with just 3 passenger rail lines. So now, it's time to propose the third and last of those lines. The southern eastern terminus of this line would be in Denver. No big surprise here, given the city's proximity to Wyoming. Like with the other Colorado to Wyoming routes, I had a choice to make. Should I take this line by way of Boulder and Fort Collins, or should I take it by way of Greeley? Taking it by way of Greeley is the most direct, but taking it by way of Boulder and Fort Collins would serve the most number of people. My decision was ultimately to pursue taking this route by way of Boulder and Fort Collins, for the simple reason that I think the path that serves the most people should get the most train service. And that path is the one through Boulder and Fort Collins. Boulder is the first stop after Denver. It has the University of Colorado at Boulder, which has about 32,000 undergraduate students. The city has about 108,000 people. Northeast of Boulder is Longmont, the next stop on this line. It has a population approaching 100,000 people. There'd then be a stop in Loveland, which has over 76,000 people. The final stop in Colorado would be in Fort Collins. It is a city of 170,000 people. The city is also home to Colorado State University, which has over 26,000 undergraduate students. The first Wyoming stop would be in Cheyenne. At just over 65,000 residents, it is the most populous city in Wyoming. Cheyenne is also the only Wyoming city to be served by all 3 of my proposed train lines for the state, meaning that a Cheyenne station would go from not existing at all to becoming a major train hub. The train then takes a westward turn at Cheyenne, and the train will remain on a mostly westward trajectory for most of the rest of its route. The first stop after Cheyenne would be in Laramie. With a population of just over 31,000 people, it is Wyoming's 4th largest city. It is also home to the University of Wyoming, which has over 8,000 undergraduate students. My goodness! Between University of Wyoming students, Colorado State students, and University of Colorado at Boulder students, this line would have a lot of young energy at the start and end of semesters, as well as the start and end of breaks. I should also make a historical footnote at this point of my video. That footnote is that we're discussing a part of my proposed route that used to be part of the former Pioneer long distance train, which went from Chicago to Seattle by way of Wyoming. The following stop would be in Rawlins. It is home to just over 8,200 people. There'd then be a stop in Rock Springs. It is Wyoming's 5th largest city, with about 23,500 people. Not far from Rock Springs is Green River. It is Wyoming's 7th largest city, home to just under 12,000 people. The last of the Wyoming stops would be in Evanston. Its population is roughly similar to Green River's. Evanston is very close to the border with Utah. The penultimate stop is Ogden. It is Utah's 8th largest city, at about 87,000 residents. It is about 40 miles north of Salt Lake City. And I should also mention that this station would serve another large university, that being Weber State University. Weber State has close to 29,000 undergraduate students. The western terminus would be in Salt Lake City. The city itself is home to about 200,000 people, and is in a metro area with about 1.25 million people. Now for my thoughts on the line. If this exact line came to fruition, I wonder how transit advocates would feel. I wonder that because there has been some advocacy around restoring the Pioneer long distance service, which ran between Chicago and Seattle by way of southern Wyoming. The part of the line between Cheyenne and Salt Lake City would be completely restored. And yet, that's only one part of the line, and not even close to being the whole line. So, if there are any watchers of this video who are advocating for a restoration of the Pioneer, I'd like to check in with said watchers. In particular, I'd be curious to hear whether you prefer for the entire service to be restored as one long distance line, or whether you'd be good with it being restored as multiple shorter distance lines. Personally, I'm leaning towards the multiple shorter distance lines approach, as this would allow cities along this route to get service that is more than once daily, something not allowed with the longer distance lines currently. Speaking of the Pioneer, transit historian types are more than welcome to fact check me on this, but I don't think the issue with this route was ridership. Based on that, I'm guessing that the ridership with this line is likely to be fine, despite the fact that it serves some sparsely populated parts of the United States. There is something that excites me about this line, though. Well, not just this line, but really this whole project where I propose passenger rail lines to connect Wyoming to the Amtrak network. What excites me is realizing that, in parts of the United States, it wouldn't take that many new train lines to massively improve region wide connectivity. All it would take is 3 train lines in Wyoming, and then we go from 0% of the state being directly connected to a rail station to at or just over half the state's population being directly connected to a rail station. And then, in the case of Montana to the north, I only needed to propose 2 lines in the state in order to connect an additional 33% of the state's population directly to rail. And I think we can find hope in the fact that, in some parts of the country, you only need to add a few rail lines to massively improve connectivity. Wyoming has more land area than the United Kingdom, yet it only takes 3 lines for Wyoming to have the rail coverage that I think it needs and deserves. Montana has a land area larger than Germany, and yet, I only needed to add 2 lines for Montana to have the rail coverage I think it needs and deserves. When I think of it this way, maybe getting better transit isn't so hopeless after all. Difficult, for sure, as the car lobby in the United States is powerful. I'm not suggesting it's easy, but I don't think it's hopeless either. And on that positive note, I hope everyone has a good day.